Hi, I'm Tim Pollock, outdoor floriculturist with the Chicago Botanic Garden. Today I want to show you how to make holiday dish gardens. A dish garden tends to be a very low basket, or in this case, this is a metal container, but you can also use wooden boxes like this, and as I showed, this is a basket with the handles. So it's really anything that is a low profile that you can put multiple plants in it. Think of a dish garden as a miniature landscape. So after you've chosen your container that you want to use and make your dish garden with, what you want to look at is making sure that you're going to now seal this so that when you put the soil and the plants and then you start watering those plants, you're not going to create a mess, certainly on a table. Often a basket might come with a liner similar to this, a pre-made plastic liner, or you can purchase liners that might actually fit the right size container or basket that you're using. In this case, this one's actually a little bit too shallow, so I'm going to show you a technique of what you can do instead of using a plastic type container, is that you can get this plastic lined wax paper, or you can use certainly fairly thick plastic, and you're going to line your basket similar to this. I actually have one that's already pre-made, just ready for this guy, just like that. After you form it in there, fill in all the edges, and then you cut it and trim it right up to the right height. Okay? So now you have a nice watertight container without having to purchase one of those plastic liners. You're going to fill this up with some soil. I like to go about halfway. The soil that you use should be a well-draining soil. I prefer to use a soil that is mostly made out of peat moss, and you would never want to use a soil that contains topsoil. So after you've got some soil in there, you want to start choosing some of the plants that you're going to be putting into the dish garden. And similar to using the same kind of design concept that you would do outside in your outside containers, you want to use plants that are on a tall side to give it some height. So I'm going to choose like this Dracaena. And then I'm going to kind of work around it. I love to use ivy because it gives you, for one, some added color, but it also gives you that low trailing kind of softening effect in your container. And then we're going to put that in right next to the Dracaena. And let me lift that up so you can see. And again, I'm going to turn that plant so that the long tails are starting to grow outwards rather than back into the container. Again, choosing some plants that have some different texture and leaf sizes. So I have a nice long narrow leaf like this that's on the darker side. I have that small roundish leaf and certainly variegation that's giving me some color. And then we can come in with a leaf that's a little bit larger and even added color into this container. Tease those roots just slightly. That'll help them get started into the soil. And I'm placing it to the back of the Dracaena, leaving another hole to the front. So I have 3 plants in this container so far. We're going to add a little bit more soil just to make sure that everything stays nice and straight. Just carefully add that in, right, making sure that you're not getting any soil between the basket and that liner that we've put in. And now what you'd want to do is add some sort of interesting indoor blooming plant. This is an old recycled pot that I'm going to put right down at the bottom. I'm going to secure that with some soil around the side so it doesn't move. Carefully. And then, since it is the holidays, we're going to throw in a poinsettia right like that, right in the front. And that's now giving me some nice color for that holiday season. Now, the reason that I have a sleeve in there is when this is done blooming, carefully remove that from there. We can come in after this is done and come in for the next holiday season, which might, for instance, might be Valentine's Day or Easter or something like that in the springtime, and come in with a different color. And that changes out the whole container, and you get a real long, again, as I said, a real long use out of this dish garden. Again, go to the store if that one starts to finish up, and you can come in with something different. And you can see how that changes the look of the dish garden dramatically from plant to plant. But it does give you that continuous color throughout the seasons. To even add some more interest to this, again, we want to fill this up. We want to come in and soften the edges a little bit. This is Spanish moss. And again, you can get this at your local garden center or craft and hobby store. And you want to soften the edges even more so, just to kind of make it a little bit more natural. You don't want to see the soil. Cover that up nicely. We don't want to see the liner. Let me turn that so you can start to see what I'm doing, just like that. Gives it a nice softening look. A little bit makes it look more like that miniature landscape that we're trying to accomplish. You can use regular sheet moss. I like to use this especially when I'm making dish gardens in the springtime, because this is definitely a nice touch that adds a real spring look to it. And you can also use some other products similar to this. This is Wood Excelsior, and that is even a nicer effect. Again, gives it some different colors that you can come in with. Again, these make great gifts because they are long lasting as long as you take care of them. Put them in some medium light, water them about every 5, 7, 8 days or so. Fertilize it once a month, and you're set to go.